Honestly, sometimes a simple video recorded from a phone is all you need.
For people with high knowledge who like to share, right?
Identifying the smart extroverts, right?
Finding the knowledge heroes and getting them involved.
You're capturing key processes inside the company. So hey everybody, Erick Prospero here with the Microlearning Lab. Today I'm here with Pete Mastin, and we're discussing how to engage your community with the process of developing microlearning videos. So this concept of community microlearning or peer learning, or really just getting some of the subject matter experts and tribal experts to do some of the work for you, is something that's a lot more relevant. It allows you to create content that the end user resonates with in a way that feels a lot more organic and realistic. So Pete has an awesome platform, and he's actually going to be at DevLearn. The timing of this actually might not be too relevant depending on when you watch the video. But Pete, can you tell us a little more about yourself?
Yeah, I've started a number of companies. This most recent one, Learnie, is the one that I've started because of what I saw in the training and learning space. My background is very much around video, but we noticed that most LMSs aren't really performing the way companies anticipate. And so we wanted to create something that really helped capture the knowledge of your staff and your employees in a way that you could share it and not watch that knowledge walk out the door, but at the same time do it in a cost-effective manner. And we think we've found the magic spot, but that's why we started the company back in 2020, and it's been a fun ride up till now.
Awesome. And I've seen this platform. We're going to eventually do a video on the platform that really walks through the details and nuances of it. I'll include a description in the link once we have that up and running. But again, it's really cool. It's kind of functions the same way TikTok does in terms of developing content that's accessible. A lot of times we struggle engaging subject matter experts, engaging really the people who know the information. And honestly, sometimes a simple video recorded from a phone is all you need. And that's coming from somebody who produces very nice videos, right? We have a film studio, we have an animation team, and some of the best stuff we've produced actually is taken with clips recorded from somebody's iPhone. So let's jump right into the tips. And I know the core focus is talking about engaging the community, subject matter experts, peers, and getting them to contribute to your microlearning efforts, to your e-learning efforts. So Pete, what's tip number one?
Well, tip number one is to really understand who your audience is. And that's, it turns the whole, the effort of L&D, learning and development, it turns that on its head a little bit, because what you're really doing is looking at your employee base and you're dividing them into different sectors, different coordinates. And think about it, on the lower coordinates, you've got people who don't know much, maybe people who hadn't been there very long. And even there, though, you've got, on the one vertice, you've got high knowledge and low knowledge. On the other vertice, you've got people who like to share and people who don't like to share. And so what you're looking for is people with high knowledge who like to share, right? On the lower tiers, you've got people who are, going to, not necessarily be sharers, and they're subordinate. But you even there on the other side, people who like to share, there's knowledge there to be shared. But the people that you want to identify in an organization, this is one of the first things we do when we come in and we're doing the onboarding, is we want you to capture who your knowledge heroes are. Call them knowledge heroes. And those knowledge heroes are people who have a high knowledge base. They understand. They've been in the business for 15 years. Whether they're solar installers or they're your best chef in the restaurant, whoever they are, those people, and you find the ones of those people that really are comfortable sharing their knowledge. And once you've found those people, those become essentially your core group that are going to create your micro lessons. And now that doesn't mean everybody else doesn't contribute. They do. But that's tip number one, is identify your knowledge heroes. And
Nice.
And that would be my first thing. And that's the first thing we tell as when we onboard new customers.
So almost like identifying the smart extroverts, right? The people who like to chat a bit.
Maybe the people that have a TikTok account, the people with an Instagram account that like to and it's the people often who are really helping the junior people, right? They're the people that, hey, or, if you've got a plumbing company and, somebody says, how do you do this? Hey, you need to go talk to Ray over there. And Ray's always the guy who says, well, here's what you do. And you do these 3 things. And so it's those people that you want to isolate and identify as your knowledge heroes. And they're going to be your core people that create your kind of first set of micro lessons. And much more will come out of that. But that's your core first set.
Love the approach. I actually have a lot of follow-up questions, but I don't want to steal your momentum because I have a feeling you're going to talk about them with this next series of tips. So what's tip number 2?
Tip number 2 is to create that community. And what we mean by community is an active area where people can ask questions, get questions answered. And that's a lot of what Learnie is. It's a community micro-learning platform. And so, people create community without tools, right? If you think about, a company that has no technology, but, they just go out and fix things, whatever it is, like electricians or something, they get together at the end of the day, they share knowledge. We're doing that electronically. We're allowing people to do that in a video format and to share that knowledge and to ask questions. So if I create a micro lesson and share it, Eric can come along and, leave video questions there and maybe text questions if you don't feel comfortable with video or there's no need for it. So, creating that community and incenting that community is a big part of kind of tip number 2. And there's different strategies to do that. But part of it is finding the knowledge heroes and getting them involved, because those people follow those people, right? They're the leaders in your organization quite often. So, once you have those people on board, you can create that community that allows your junior people to feel comfortable asking questions.
Nice. Now, does bribing this community work? I'm assuming it's a good combination of people who like to help, right? That maybe they're already have some sort of promotion track or they're interested. But do you encourage any type of other incentives?
We don't like to use the word bribery, Eric. That seems a little harsh, but kidding. No, it is bribery. So we do have a gamification elements, and it's badging, and we can associate those badges with a coffee card or with whatever incentives the company wants to provide. But we do have badging, and we do think that's a key component of it, which is share your knowledge and maybe whatever. Once you get to the platinum level, maybe you get a free dinner at your favorite Italian restaurant, or maybe whatever it happens to be. And the administrators decide what those rewards are. But what we provide is a badging system that lets you associate rewards, with the appropriate, things that you want to give away.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the ROI is there, right? Because if you think about even a decent dinner or a series of Amazon gift cards, getting people excited about that, sharing their idea. I mean, you're avoiding the cost of extensive video production. You're capturing key processes inside the company. So, definitely go above and beyond the traditional pizza party.
All right. I will say the next one is one that's maybe considered more of a tactic than a strategy. But one of the things that we, and I know you guys too, really specialize in and find a lot of value in is microlearning, right? I mean, it is a core piece of our platform. I know it's a core piece of what you guys do. And so that microlearning is not always natural to people. And so, what we have found is we typically end up running a series of workshops. We start with the knowledge heroes, but we've often done it for the entire team. And we emphasize conciseness. We experiment and show people how to create lessons in a way create knowledge in a way that is easy to consume. Now, our tool goes a long way in that. It forces it. But the reality is, even then, people, often are more comfortable once they have taken some time to think about what's the best way. So I would say tip 5 or tip 4, tip 4 is conciseness, right? You want to emphasize to everybody who's both the creators of content and even the responders of content and the people that are in that community, be concise, be to the point, because nobody wants to watch a 15-minute video, right? Nobody wants to watch, a long form video that only the interesting parts in minute 13 and a half, right? You want to get to the point quickly.
That's a good point. It's funny because, it depends, right? I'll push back a little bit on that because sometimes microlearning is the 15-minute video, right? But with that being said, with contemporary learners and the way people are being conditioned, are you really holding their attention for 15 minutes, right?
And most studies show it's gone after about 5.
You can actually see that on YouTube data. And the interesting thing is, if you ever have the chance to post content on YouTube, you will see one of the best tools tied to analytics for content. It'll tell you where everyone drops off, where the key points are, and there's always a consistent reverse. Well, it looks like a hockey stick, right? A fallen down hockey stick where...
Yeah, reverse hockey, yeah.
So very interesting point. And I know, soon we're just going to be flashing content at people's face and hoping they stick to it.
Memes. We'll just be throwing memes at each other.
Yeah, with Pepe the Frog.
Right. I think there is a limit, to be fair. I think, some content is just complex enough to require, some attention, and you have to pay attention to it to really get it. So I don't think we're going to see everything reduced to just pictures and hieroglyphics, but you're right. There's lots of studies that have shown the human attention span has reduced, and even, we can feel it in our daily lives, right? I know that, the more media I get exposed to, and I'm exposed to a lot, as I'm sure you are, the more I get it quick, and I flip. Even if it's long form, I'm just chopping in and chopping out of it.
No, exactly. Or if it is long form, I just use it as a podcast and listen to the content while I try to multitask, right? Which fail at doing most of the time. But yeah, my approach with this is typically by focusing on a single topic, right? Cover a single topic. And if that topic takes 2 minutes, if it takes 1 minute, if it takes 5 minutes, that's more of a challenge than you think, because it's usually you want to start adding or including information, but
our head of instructional design, who does a lot of our onboarding, her name's Lisa. If she was here, she would love to hear you say that, because that's her number one thing is. And when we talk about, how do you get people to create good micro lessons, it's exactly what you said, which is think about one thing. Have that one. You might have 10 concepts you need to explain. Explain the one thing in that one burst, and then stop. And then your next one is whatever it is. But just, don't flip from thing to thing. Just drill in on the one concept. And so it's a key point.
Especially if you want them to take action on it. Because if you have a 15-minute video that covers 6 topics and you need them to follow 6 steps, you're kind of risking a lot there. So awesome. I think I lost count because I think we're on tip number 4.
I think that was 4. The last one, I'll tell you, again, it's more of a tactic, but you need to provide tools for feedback. And that's a lot of what we did in our product. But whether you're using our product or not, if you're creating, if you're really attempting to do this, you need to provide, and that's part of that community element too. But it's really, people don't like one-way communication. They want to be able to ask questions. They want to maybe even comment. Imagine if you've got a shop of plumbers, and you got your master plumber number 1 over here who does something, and then master plumber 2 might come in and say, Ram, this was pretty good, but you missed this one piece. And so, and we see that in our product, but you can use anything for that, but people want to be able to feed back, not just share their knowledge, but then ask questions and get feedback there. So providing that feedback loop and all of that is critically important to have successful engagement, and engagement is the key to retention.
I love the approach, and I would love to be a part of a plumber thread, and just to see the type of banter.
Well, you might. I don't know.
Yeah.
You might.
It depends on the culture of the company, but it would always be kind of fun just to see how people engage with the content in a way that they would a Facebook video or a TikTok video. So I know Uh, Honestly, I think a lot of LMS platforms are missing that natural feeling to it, right? Like usually it's a lot more structured. There's no way to engage or provide feedback. And even if you have somebody who's making inappropriate comments on occasion, it does make it a little more interesting, right? I mean, it shows, that Larry over here is at least engaged.
I mean, my last company, the one I sold this company to a public held company, but my last company was an LXP, a learning experience platform. And I would say the learning experience platforms outside of just LMSs, the LXPs, that's a big part of what they try to do is create engagement. But I just think it misses the bigger picture, which is you also have to have, short form content, and you also have to create community. And I don't think LXPs have created community. They've created some engagement, but not community. And so I think that was what's missing in that movement. If you look at the broader, kind of workforce training space. And that's why we built Learnie the way we did, was to try to bring it all together, mobile community, microlearning, knowledge in your pocket, community, because you've got a bunch of smart people in your company right now that could share their knowledge, and you're not capturing it right now. And then microlearning, because it's a best practice for beating the forgetting curve.
Love the approach. Now, I think we're really good on time. Typically, we wrap up these calls with just some insight as to what you're excited about that's coming within the industry, right? What changes or trends that you're looking forward to, and then also who's somebody that you look up to in the industry.
John Lay is an analyst in the industry that I think has done some amazing work, and I really respect him. Josh Burson as well is another analyst. He's been around for a long time, and I would say, has done a great job of articulating some of the problems with LMSs over the years that I've personally have responded to. With regard to what I see coming up, I mean, I think we're in the midst of the change. We're transitioning from LMSs to whether it becomes community microlearning or what, companies are not satisfied with the results of LMSs. And while some of them have gotten better than others, LMSs were primarily written for compliance, compliance type training, right? Which is important, and we support compliance. But really, the value of a company is not in what it shouldn't do, it's what it does do. And almost invariably, LMSs don't capture what companies do for a living, right? They captures, it's your sexual harassment policies. It's your, and so what we really have focused on is beyond compliance, right? What's the next step beyond compliance? Well, you got to capture what is your value proposition of your company. If you're a plumbing company, what makes you a better plumbing company than everybody else? If you're a solar company, what makes you better? Is it the kind of equipment you install? Is it the training of your employees? Is that, what is it? And that can be articulated in your learning platform. And that's going to help you really make a bigger impact on your community, on your, the way your company does business. And, everybody in your company matters, right? Everybody who touches your customers matter. And if you're able to create the kind of company you want through your LMS, or through your learning platform, it's a better thing, right? Than having to, especially if you're trying to scale. What we find, our customers are often they're trying to scale. They maybe got 15 locations and they're trying to get to 25 in 2 years, right? So, in those cases, they need the ability to scale in a way that lets them, articulate the value of the company to all their new employees.
And then also generate the content quickly. I love the point that you're making on emphasizing what you should be doing, right? A lot of key processes, really the tribal knowledge that drives the company, aren't captured in LMSs. I mean, usually, yeah, it's a weird point. And I was thinking through all of our customers. I mean, every now and then, like safety material could be captured in, but it depends on the process, right? So I've seen good examples of safety training on a traditional LMS, but most of the time it's a process even building it. So we're going.
Yeah.
What's up?
Well, I was just going to say,
Yeah.
I mean, I know that, I've got an example from my past where a client of mine asked us to develop some content again in a prior life. And, we developed this $250,000 beautiful video with, highly produced, long form too. And, they used it for a year, and then a year and a half later, I was talking to him, and are you still using that video? No, things changed, right? And the process has changed, and I won't identify who they were, but, think large bottler type
Enron.
And so, and so, if you have short form, easy to create content, the difference is you can cheaply create that right on the fly. If something changes, you just change what changed, and you move on. And so your standard operating procedures don't have to, you don't have to spend a fortune every year to, create new training around that.
Awesome. Pete, I love the approach. We're going to include links to the site. We're working on a video right now that has it's generally an overview of the platform. And to be honest with you, I've seen the demo. It's one of the coolest things I've seen in terms of tactical learning, right? If you want people on the ground assisting with those processes, and it really is just like a TikTok combined with a nice community-generated SOP document, right? I mean, that's a good way to describe it. But
I love it. I'm writing that down as you speak.
All right.
Well, that's perfect.
I'm going to charge you for that. So I love the approach, guys. Check out the description. Make sure to subscribe. And thanks again, Pete.
Thanks, Eric.
Want to learn more about microlearning best practices? We've got you covered. Check out the video cards for more related content. Don't forget to subscribe for weekly tips and explore the description for a curated list of resources to continue your e-learning journey.